Hi everyone, so I thought I'd do a sort of a different video today. Basically it's just, I'm going to call it the realities of being a parent to two children. Basically wanted to come on, it's probably going to sound like a bit of a rant probably, but I just wanted to voice some things that I don't think that they really prepare you for or tell you about. A lot of people want to be kept in the dark about this type of stuff, so I thought I'd just come on and ruin that for everyone and tell everyone what it is, the realities of what it's like. Oliver is asleep next to me, he's down here. He's got a cough or a cold or whatever it is, a mixture of both. So he's currently passed out in a Calpol coma, and if anyone wakes him up now, I will probably throttle them. We are having a hard time. So yeah, anyway, today Oliver turned 5 months old, so I'll be doing his 5-month update very soon. Freddie's asleep upstairs. Thank God he still naps, that's all I can say. I take my hat off, I salute parents that children who don't nap anymore and they're like having to keep them occupied all day. I am incredibly lucky and I don't take it for granted. So I'm basically going to start off this video just by saying when I was pregnant, I'll go all the way back to when I was pregnant. So basically me and Matt started discussing about having a second child. I'm one of 7 children and Matthew is one of 4. He is actually an identical twin himself. So we've always had siblings around, and we both agreed that we wanted the boys close in age. Well, our children to be close in age. Obviously we didn't realise it was going to be another boy, but we wanted our children close in age. So we started discussing sort of like when would we want to have another child, and we began trying. I'm not sure if I actually mentioned, but I actually had a chemical pregnancy before I conceived Oliver, and that was very, very early on. So yeah, we got pregnant with Oliver fairly quickly actually, and you know, we didn't actually begin telling Freddie because Freddie was, I think it was before his 2nd birthday that I got pregnant, because I found out April 25th 2013 and Freddie turned 2 on July the 10th 2013. So we didn't actually, you know, tell him that I was pregnant or mummy was having another baby, you were going to have a brother or sister, blah blah blah. So when we did start telling him, we got a few books, and we got a baby doll, you know, just to sort of very lightly introduce him to the fact that there was going to be another little human being running around, and necessarily not having all the attention on Freddie because, you know, it's inevitable. The first child, they're going to be spoiled, you know, depending on, you know, the grandparents, parents' input to that first child, depending on how spoilt they are. Freddie was fairly spoilt as a first child. His personality is very flamboyant, very outgoing, always like on the go. He doesn't want to sit still for more than 10 seconds. It has got a little bit better. He is having issues with his speech delay, which I will go into his update soon. But yeah, he's currently on the speech therapy waiting list. And so we just, you know, sort of during reading times, we'd read the story to him. I'd show him the scan pictures. I got him involved in the gender reveal. He actually came to a couple of my scans, and you know, we just, you know, said that we were gonna, you know, you was gonna have a brother eventually, and there was gonna be another person in our lives. He felt the baby kick and, you know, things like that. So we did all that. So we got him involved as best we could get a 2.5-year-old involved. So when you know, Oliver was born, he came to the Freddie came to the hospital to meet his brother, and you know, he was more interested. He couldn't care less about the baby when he came in. He was more interested in seeing the hospital and seeing the room and seeing the views. He barely got on the bed to give me a hug. You know, he was just not interested whatsoever. It wasn't until a couple of days later when we got home, because I stayed a little bit longer in hospital, I remember sitting in the car on the way home, and I was just in tears, floods of tears. At that point, I had no idea why, but I think the realities of what was, you know, about to happen to my life had just hit, and, you know, I was coming home. At this point, we were still living with Matthew's mum and his brother. You know, we thought we'd have our own family unit, we'd have our own house or flat, and, you know, we'd have our own unit, and we were coming home, and, you know, it was just stressful. So I was really overwhelmed, crying, couldn't stop crying, and luckily Freddie didn't really seem that bothered, to be fair. So ever since then, really, it has got better. He does, you know, he doesn't ignore him. He says his name, he gives him cuddles, he doesn't ask to hold him. Sometimes he will, you know, have him sit with him for pictures, but he's just very much, at this point, he's still to this day is very much sort of, you know, he wants to do his own thing, basically. He will kiss Oliver and he will hug Oliver, but he will never ask to hold him. That's just Freddie. He's just, I know it's not because he doesn't love him, he doesn't, you know, anything like that. It's just, he just doesn't want to. And there is plenty more time left for him to, you know, dote on his brother and do brotherly things and blah, blah, blah. When other people come round, he's the first one to, you know, say, oh, look, there's Oliver, there's my brother. So he does acknowledge him. It's not like he basically ignores him the entire time. So I was told, very naively thinking, you know, I thought that Freddie was a particularly, not hard baby, but I thought he was quite a difficult baby. Boy, was I wrong. And I can't say that Oliver has been the worst baby I've ever encountered, but I've only had experience of Freddie and obviously my siblings. Not that I'd had the primary care of my siblings. First of all, I had the issues of breastfeeding. I think it became a personal goal of mine, not so much, you know, it wasn't a case of I didn't have the option of bottle feeding, because I bottle fed and breastfed Freddie. But the option with Freddie, it got taken away from me because I ended up in hospital with gallstones. So I had to quickly switch, and thank goodness that Freddie was such an amazing baby. He just didn't care. As long as he got food, he didn't care whether it was a bottle or a breast, what bottle, anything. But now with Oliver, from day one, breastfeeding, it took 2 weeks to get established. He had a very poor latch, ruined my nipples completely. So I was dealing with that, plus dealing with a hyperactive toddler who didn't want to, you know, didn't want to get involved. And we then moved pretty much straight away. So having to move with a newborn and a 2.5-year-old was just ridiculously stressful. And then reflux set in with Oliver, and, you know, crying and fussiness, and he just, still to this day, he is not one of these babies that you can just put down and they're happily contented just, you know, just to play and sit there. He wants to be held pretty much the entire time, and the majority of that time it is probably by me. Matt's had a hard time bonding with Oliver, basically because he's just strictly attached to me. Now, he will go to other people, he will let you know, you hold him, you know, because his christening was this Sunday just past, and he was fine just to, you know, be passed around. As long as he's being held, he's fine. He has started tolerating the bouncer finally when he's just about to outgrow it, and he will finally, you can leave him for probably like 10 minutes max on the floor and playing, unless you're, you know, consciously interacting with him. He is very much not, I'd say, attention seeker, but he is different in the aspect, like Freddie is an attention seeker because he wants the attention on him. He likes the attention on himself, whereas Oliver needs it because he's very needy. Whereas Freddie, he's very happy to do his own thing. He just wants, you know, to show off and things, if that makes sense. So yeah, I had to deal with that, and then can still, you know, breastfeeding and changing nappies, and Freddie's not out of nappies. Freddie is not ready to potty train, and having the constant, you know, I've got people on this side saying potty training and people on this side saying no, don't potty train, he'll do it when he's ready, and my head's just going round and round. And then having a fussy baby as well, and you know, I am lucky that he does nap, but his naps during the day are, like at home, are rubbish, but if we're out he's actually quite good. So his latch was poor, but that has improved since he turned around about 3 months. But now, we're now at the issue where he now won't take bottles. He's not really even that fussed with his dummy anymore, so, you know, I don't know what that deal is. But yeah, he doesn't want to take anything else, and I'm the only one that can console him. Sometimes if he gets really, really upset, Matt will put him in his car seat and take him out in the pushchair. But basically what I'm trying to get at is, I had this mentality in my head that the second child would somehow miraculously be easier, as that is what everyone tells you, or that is what everyone told me, and it is the complete, utter opposite. You know, we're a month away now from Oliver starting solid foods, and I'm really nervous as to how he's going to take that. He doesn't sleep through the night. He's been co-sleeping with us since the day we moved in here, which was back in February. And he is very, very attached to breastfeeding. Now, the thing is, I have tried different bottles. I've tried Tommy Tippy, oh, what's the other one? Mam, I've tried, and the latest one is Nook. So I haven't actually tried Avent yet, but pumping, I'm not sure why, but pumping just seems, because I've only got a manual and I can't afford an electric, the manual pump seems to not drain me properly, and then I end up with a blocked duct, which happened last time, and that was excruciatingly painful. I've had a blocked duct maybe a few times now, but yeah, so I can't pump because that just doesn't work. I don't have a high enough supply to be able to pump anyway, and he won't take a bottle, so he's so dependent on me, which sucks because it means that I can't go out and do anything. And then, you know, me and Matt have arguments because, you know, he still goes out and plays cricket at the weekends, goes away on a cricket tour, you know, plays football during the week, and you know, and he has that freedom to just go out anywhere, whereas I feel like I'm stuck in these four walls. Here we go. I feel like I'm stuck in these four walls, and I can't go out anywhere. Here he is. So basically my advice, here we go. Hey. basically, what I would say is my top tips, really, not really exactly top tips, but if I had to do this all over again, or if there's advice I'd give to myself, I would never ever have a smaller age gap than 2.5. This is just me personally. I just think that it is extremely hard, especially if you don't have family close to help you with the children. You know, you can forget having magazines or having long baths or even showers, even pooing by yourself. You can't even poo by yourself. And, you know, kiss goodbye your sex life, even if you even had a sex life to begin with. How Oliver was conceived, I do not even know. You know, sex is that, you know, in few and in between. It just doesn't happen. And date nights, say goodbye to those. Those are non-existent now. You know, unless you're fortunate enough to have, you know, all the money in the world, in which case you can afford to, you know, get the help. You know, and having to entertain, you know, this is just my basic morning. You get up, you know, I've just woken up, Oliver's asleep. I get Freddie, get him dressed, comes in, he wakes Oliver up, then Oliver starts screaming, then Freddie starts whinging because he needs breakfast. So I've got Freddie whinging, Oliver screaming, and they both want it right there and then. So I end up going downstairs, Oliver mid-attached to the boob, getting Freddie's breakfast, then he doesn't want the breakfast I've made him, then he has a strop on the floor, then someone rings the phone or, you know, knocks on the door. You know, and you get a game out and they, you know, they don't want to play the game 2 seconds in and they throw it and have tantrums and make their brothers cry and having to deal with tantrums and, you know, be nice to your brother and teaching all these things and, oh man, it's just hard. So I wouldn't have them any less than 2.5. You know, I would say not all this rubbish about getting all the sleep you can, but just, you know, rest. You know, even if it's just sitting on the sofa, you know, doing Facebook or doing YouTube or whatever, doing what you think you do to relax, basically. And to be honest, in the evenings, I find better. I would so much rather, I'd rather trade in, you know, a passionate night for, you know, having a nice dinner, the kids going to bed happy, or even regardless of whether Oliver's awake or crying, you know, as long as he's, you know, settled and playing and not crying, then that's fine. And then, you know, me and Matt sitting down and watching Game of Thrones or Prison Break or Vikings or some, you know, a TV series or something like that. You know, being intimate in other ways like cuddling or, you know, something like that. So, and just relishing in the small days where they, you know, it's a good day, and if you haven't had your kid on naughty step for more than, you know, 20 hours out of that day, then, you know, it's a good day. And they, you know, keep repeating to yourself that they will grow up eventually and they go off to school, and you're gonna, you know, you're gonna look back on, like, for instance, I'm gonna look back on this video and think, you know, oh my goodness, what was I complaining about? I thought it was hard then. You know, think about when they're both in school, you know, they're both, I don't know, going through their shoes, you know, needing new shoes every term because, you know, they're scuffing their shoes up or ruining their shoes, or God forbid, you know, getting in trouble at school or falling out with friends and falling out with each other, more like. So, yeah. And basically, also, if anyone sees anyone else around in a supermarket and someone has not got a child and they park in the child's seats, everyone do a favour and tell them off, because it's happened to all of us, and no offence to anyone that's got them, but it's always the people in the 4x4s that are always parking in the child spaces, or the BMWs. So it happened to me, when was it happened to me? Yesterday or the day before? Yeah, they moved their car basically afterwards, so just lots of mummy dilemmas. But anyway, I've probably gone on plenty long enough. I love my children and I wouldn't change them for the world. I probably... Oh dear. Like I said, bad cough. I'd probably change... I'd like it if they weren't so fussy. But, you know, you just get on with it. So, and, you know, we'll eventually get sleep when we're dead. So, it will just get better. But anyway, I hope everyone's well. I will do a 5-month update soon. And I will speak to you all soon. Bye.